Khanna, Democrat, California, leader in the party, future leader of the party, joins us now. He is a key player, okay? One of the Democrats on the Oversight Committee behind yesterday's release of the Epstein emails. Remember, those came out of the estate, okay? One criticism that is not fair is, well, the Democrats have them. Why'd they only release part? No. They don't have the files. That's a different thing. It's a little complicated. Khanna joins me now. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Chris.
All right. Without a look at process, let's start with Epstein because we're on it, and we'll move on to what I believe we should be talking about instead of Epstein. Yes, the Democrats talked about this in the first administration, wanted Acosta. It's not fair to say you never cared until now. In fact, I think I was too heavy-handed about that the first time we spoke about it. However, you're making so much of this right now, working with Massey, telling everyone, why? What is this about for you guys? What do you think comes out?
Well, first of all, I met with the survivors, and anyone who meets with the survivors is moved by it. And this is the first time I met with them about 5 months ago. That's why you're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace not be bullied by the White House. They've met with them. And I genuinely want justice for them. They want these files released. But the second thing is the Epstein class needs to go. You've had this case of rich and powerful people who basically have had impunity. You know, you or I, we go out, we get a traffic ticket, and you got to pay it. But some of these folks with extreme wealth had politicians and bankers on their speed dial, and they have gotten away with the most horrendous action, and that has to end.
I have no quibble with the Republican women you had up there. Each and all of them are known advocates for female victims and victims in general of crimes. Yes, you guys are a little new to it, though. You're meeting with the victims now. They've always had that. Who are these Epstein elites that you're talking about? How do you even know they exist in any of these files, that you are ready to eradicate them?
Well, two things. One, I actually tweeted out in 2019 about this. So this is something that
yes, you did.
Have spoken about. But I take the word of
But then there was a lapse, Ro. You tweeted out in 2019, then you guys came into power, and you were doing everything you could to find ways to go after Trump. But somehow, all of what may be in the Epstein files didn't make its way into those efforts. Help me.
Look, I think that there were two judges who ordered release of the files, but I give Trump credit for elevating this issue. And when he came into power, I didn't criticize him one bit. And I thought, okay, he's going to release the files. I wasn't like, where are the files? It's only after Pam Bondi said, well, we're done with the release, that Thomas Massey and I did this bill. And by the way, I thought, and I still hope that President Trump actually releases them. He could be a hero. If you look at my messaging and Thomas Massey's messaging, we are not making this about Donald Trump, contrary to James Carville, who I respect. But, you know, he's always looking at things from a political lens. I have never said this is about Donald Trump. I've said this is about justice for the survivors. I have said it is about protecting the kids. And I state today to President Trump, listen to the survivors on Tuesday. There's going to be a press conference. They're going to ask to meet with you. You could today meet with them, and you could order the release of the files, and you'll turn into a hero. The negative 39 approval rating will overnight turn around. And I'd rather you do that than have a political cost. So that is what it's been about for me. And I just want to see these files released. And survivors say that there are thousands of victims and a lot of people who have buildings named after them, scholarships named after them, who are in these files.
Right, but just because you're in the files didn't mean you do something or knew something, although I'm with you. I find it hard to believe how you could spend a lot of time with this guy and not have known what a monster he was. They should release all the files. I'm with you on that. Now, next point of controversy. I don't understand the caved argument. I think the left has the right issue. Affordability, costs are crushing us. The president's trying to get out in front of you on it now, but you guys have an advantage on this because he's in power and he owns affordability going the wrong way, okay? The shutdown was the right issue, but I didn't like the tactic because you and I both know there was never going to be any movement from the majority during a shutdown on any level, because it never happens. The Democrats never did that for the Republicans, and it wasn't going to happen this time. So how is it caving to end something that could only end this way?
Well, first of all, let's start with the point that our healthcare system is broken. People's premiums are skyrocketing. That's one thing that it seems that the left and the right agree with. Now, in my view, the Affordable Care Act slowed the growth of those costs, but the point is the costs are absurd. And this is why I have been a consistent advocate for national health insurance, something that Donald Trump championed in 2000, something that FDR championed, Dr. King championed, that was part of the 1980 Democratic platform until 1980. And I think that's really where we need to head. In the meantime, we need to get some relief for people whose premiums are going to jump from $44 a month in one case to $2,600 a month. A real case of a taxi driver in Arizona who has cancer. His son ran up to me and shared this at an airport. And my view is that you could have had a deal with the Republicans. You've got people like Michael Lawler, Kevin Kiley, and others saying we're not going to do a permanent extension, but we may do it for a year. We may do it with some negotiation on eligibility. There are people like Sam Liccardo in my party who are working to that. What I don't understand is how we got nothing, no relief. I guess I'm not in politics to make healthcare the issue. I'm in politics to actually help people.
But Ro, this is the part I don't get. Anybody who Googles you for 2 seconds, you're ridiculously educated. You're incredibly intellectually sophisticated. Why were you surprised? There was no deal. There was no one on your side in the House working on a deal. A couple of the senators who wound up caving, in your opinion, were trying to get a deal. The Republicans were saying in the House and in the Senate, it will never happen during a shutdown. We can't give it to you the same reason Schumer wouldn't give them anything. That's the part I don't get. I hear AOC calling these people traitors and Bernie. I can only think that this is a stunt to have the new left take over the party on this grievance, which I feel the grievance, the poignance of the grievance. But there was no deal. Nobody was going to make a deal, not during a shutdown.
Well, first of all, I have not called them traitors. I have a respectful disagreement.
AOC did.
Well, I can only speak in my language. I have not said, I know some of them. I know Senator Rosen. I know Senator Masto. On some issues we've worked together. They had a judgment that they made that's different than the judgment I would have made. They said, look, we've got to get the airports open back in Nevada. We've got to have federal workers paid. I believe, though, that Trump held us hostage.
Food stamps.
Trump's giving $20 billion to Argentina on a currency swap where he could be paying $9 billion for food here. So I don't have a view. I don't have a view. I believe they made a wrong judgment, but politics has different people making different judgments. That's separate and apart from whether Senator Schumer is the right person to be leading the future of the Democratic Party. I mean, Chris, when you think of the future of the Democratic Party, do you think of Chuck Schumer? I mean, come on. It's like, how many times do you have to lose, in the NBA or the NFL? I mean, you get one.
And by the way, I'll tell you why he should go. Because he let you guys set him up in this situation. You guys were pushing him to shut down the government. He did it. He had no plan for what to do with the shutdown. He got outplayed here by his own party and the other party. I think that's disqualifying on its face. I do not disagree with your conclusion.
I'd have more respect for him, frankly, if he said, Ro, you're wrong about this. And I'm going to vote yes with the other 8 senators. And here's why I'm voting yes. And you're a young guy. You got a lot of chutzpah, but, I'm looking out for the long-term interests of the country. He didn't do that. He tried to have it both ways. He kind of voted no, saying, Ro's right about the health care. And then he's giving a green light to these senators to vote yes. And people have had it with that kind of politics. The one thing about Donald Trump, I disagree with everything. You never think when Donald Trump speaks that, that's not really what he thinks about something. Oh, can he just hold back? The guy, he speaks whatever comes to his mind. And I think what you need, people disagree with me, but they know that when I'm saying something, Chuck Schumer should retire or whatever I'm saying, it's what I believe. I don't calculate to the level of the last degree of what the politics are. And I think that's the main reason where Schumer, he's had a good career. I don't begrudge. There are a lot of things he did. I say we worked on the Chips and Science Act together. It would have never gotten passed if it weren't for him.
Without
but he's
him.
not the right leader
Yeah.
for the future.
I just got to finish this tweet. Khanna says, "I'm just like Trump when I speak." All right, thanks. I just said, no. Khanna, thank you for making the case. You're always welcome here. I appreciate you answering the questions and being tested. I'll see you again soon. If I don't speak to you, I'll try to call you for sure. But have a great Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you. Thank you.
Great Thanksgiving. Same back at you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.